Welcome to Certified Toxic. Let's just jump into it.
Perfect. So I've got some information about the video prior to jumping in.
Okay.
So the name of the person, we'll say,
Sure.
in this video is Jared Bassett. He went by JB.
Okay.
He lived in Alton, Illinois. His mother lived in, I believe, Missouri. I may be able to, I'll double check on that.
Some gross state.
Some just in the middle of where nobody wants to be. He was a musician. He published rap songs on YouTube, which I should have looked into.
Air Duster, white people rap is like the power.
It's
combo.
the trifecta of for sure living in a double life. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. All right.
Ooh, scary.
This one is pretty rough.
Oh my fucking god, yo! Holy shit!
This shit fucking hits like a bitch.
There's the can.
Like right now, dude. Like I feel like fucking.
Still good.
Fucking
Yeah,
Xanax,
he's
dude.
all right.
This shit only $3 a can, dude. $3, dude. And I get as high as fucking meth. Like 10 times as high as meth, dude.
Okay. So I'm curious. Okay, so but before we get too far in,
Yeah.
When Robert and I are chuckling at this, I'm sure you have the same reason as me. We know what happens. We're not chuckling at the outcome of the video by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
We both, unfortunately, this is a reveal here about our lives, have extensive experience using Air Duster.
To a point of pure shame. And
Total shame.
we literally say verbatim, holy fucking shit.
Word for word.
So
Everybody I've ever seen do Air Duster does exactly what this kid did. So we're laughing at that. Not at the victim himself. Yeah. But one thing I thought was interesting, he said, fuck your Xanax, fuck your meth. It gets me as high as meth. It gets me 10 times higher than meth. Mm-hmm. So what are your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. It's one of the most intoxicating, body orgasming feelings I've ever felt.
100%
I've tried
agree.
many weird street drugs, and this beats the cake. But it's such a short-lived experience. Once you're through like a can, you're so depressed, your head hurts. Ugh, yeah.
The consequences of it are so immediate. Like, we can discuss this a little bit post-vid, but I remember thinking, like, when I would take nitrous or Air Duster or anything that's classified as an inhalant, I would always say, if there was a version of this in a pill form that would last for 4 to 5 hours, it's all I would take. I wouldn't take any other drugs. I would just take that. So it has really unique addictive properties that we can talk a little bit about later.
For sure.
All right, let's keep going here, unfortunately.
So we're still good.
Shit, dude.
Give me try some.
Hell no.
Dude, try some. Dude.
Does the
I'm
classic
fucking
shirt
trying, like,
thing, which we'll explain.
Oh my fucking god!
It's just me in a video.
Oh, this is okay.
Yo, is he dying? Are we gonna do anything about this?
Of course they don't get it.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yo, Brandon, you got another save? Can I hit that?
All right. Oof.
Ooh, yeah, that's freaks
It's a
me
tough
out.
watch. I'll tell you what happens a little bit later to the kid,
Okay.
how it goes. But there's a couple things that I thought were interesting.
Sure.
It's kind of hard. We have the volume a little bit low because we don't want the mics to pick it up.
Yeah.
But there's two things that his friend said that I thought were very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The first was one friend said, "Let me try some." And the kid said, "Yeah, you got to try some." And one of his other friends went, "Hell no."
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're all letting him do this.
Yeah.
Presumably, it sounds like a couple of them are at least aware of the dangers if they're so against doing it themselves.
Right. Yep.
Why are they letting their friend just crush Duster in the car if they know what the risks are?
It might just be that young teen thing where like, hey, it's kind of we're narcissists until we kind of grow out of it, and so we only care about, well, I know this is going to probably be dangerous for me to do, and I'm not quite. A lot of people who use drugs and might be building toward doing the craziest drugs typically will have boundaries that just get pushed further and further and further. And so they might just not be as far along in the drug risk-taking experience. But
that's a really good point.
Anytime I hang out with group of people and there's air duster floating around, there's always one or two that are like, yeah, I'm just not that far yet.
Same. Yeah. Or even if they're, I mean, I know people that were doing pretty wild drugs, but still wouldn't hit duster. They're just like, no, thanks. So yeah, it could be a situation of that. Also, I know for me, like when I was that young, I think he was 21 years old or 22. When I was that young, God forbid, I would never tell my friends not to do anything because what if they didn't like me after that?
Yeah, that's worse than death.
You know what I mean? So if I could see somebody railing like the shit you use to clean bathtubs, and I would be like, yeah, go ahead, man. Just will you still like me and be friends with me, please, if you survive? So that was one interesting thing, and the second was. Right after one of his friends says, yo, is he dying? Are we going to do anything about this?
Yeah.
A couple seconds later, one of his friends looks at the kid in the passenger seat and says, yo, Brandon, you got another cig?
Just moving right along.
Just doesn't care at all. So clearly this kid did not have very good influences of friends. Unbelievable. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I got one funny anecdote.
Yeah, please.
I went to a wilderness rehab program, and they didn't allow nicotine, they didn't allow caffeine, and so everyone was just starved for women, for dopamine, for everything.
Anything.
Yeah, and literally we'd go on like these bike rides down, like 30-mile bike rides down streets and up hills, and we'd literally be just scanning the ground for cigarettes. And so in that state of such desperation, there was this foot fungus spray, and this kid's like, well, it does spray out of the can, so there must be an aerosol inside of it. So he would get a sock, wrap it around, and huff the fungus spray, as well as some other like Dr. Scholl's or whatever foot spray, or Arm & Hammer foot spray.
Yeah.
Just anything that had an inhalant in it. But the rehab was obviously smart enough to not get the types of inhalants that have the chemicals in it
that can get you high.
Dissociative dopamine spike, type of high. Yeah.
So it didn't work. None of the shit he tried worked at all.
No, other than just cutting off a little bit of oxygen to his brain.
Oh, which you can do yourself. That's crazy, dude. When it comes to duster, I mean, so one of the facts about this is that it says about 9% of Americans have tried inhalants of some type.
Sure.
And 67% of those first tried it under the age of 18.
Wow.
I was 14 when I first took air duster. I think it was the third drug I ever tried.
Really?
I took Percocets first, actually.
Sick.
Then smoked weed, then got into air duster. And I had the same reaction as this kid. So it was something that on and off I would do throughout my drug using years. But I remember once, this is a situation him and I had together, actually. I was buying, I think, Xanax from a mutual dealer of ours. Sure. We're not going to say the name.
His name is David.
But it is David. No, it's not. But you were over at his house for reasons I can't exactly remember. We were there. We didn't plan to be there together. We're just like, oh, shit, it's a person in my family that's also addicted to drugs. That's cool.
Hell yeah.
And I was sitting on the bed, just fucked up on whatever I was fucked up on, and you were hitting duster in a beanbag chair.
Damn.
And I have never seen anybody hit a duster so hard in my life.
Really?
And I make fun of these kids for like not acting concerned or having any empathy.
Yeah.
But I had a similar reaction. I was so high I didn't know what to do. Like you would hit it so hard you would pass out, and immediately upon coming to,
Jesus.
and then you'd just be back out. And actually said what one of the friends said. I'll edit that out.
I remember that specifically.
Do you remember that?
I remember someone wanting to make sure to not, like, dude, you're going too far with that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I think it was the dealer.
Yes.
I think the dealer was like, yo, Rob, you got to chill out a little
Yeah.
bit. And then he asked me, he's like, yo, your cousin's fucking crazy. I was like, yeah, I know.
Like,
He's
that's a
half his
crazy
fucking
white boy.
mind.
That always says shit like that.
it's a crazy white boy.
You white kids are crazy.
That was nuts. So like I can definitely relate to this, but let's talk a little bit about the aftermath of this video.
Okay.
So he did unfortunately pass away. That's the reveal. He did die. Something that is mentioned when you start using inhalants is the potential for sudden death. People will always tell you, like, oh, when you take it, you don't know when it could happen. You could immediately, your heart could stop, your lungs could freeze over.
Right.
But there's so many urban legends floating out there about different drugs and different things that can happen.
Yep.
Like, and a good example is LSD. people say you take LSD and it stores in your spinal thing, and 10 years later you can get high again.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No.
The sudden death is. That is true.
Damn,
so
that's scary.
the chemicals responsible for that are difluoroethane and tetrafluoroethane.
Okay.
Both are chemicals that they put in an air duster because for whatever reason the aerosol can that they use doesn't have enough pressure to spray itself. So they use chemicals to increase the pressure.
I see.
Both of those are responsible partially for the dopamine hit and the dissociative effect.
Interesting.
But they can also immediately stop your heart.
Wow. That's scary.
So in his case, I believe he passed away 5 hours later at the hospital. This was not his first rodeo. So his mom actually talked to the newscasters in the area, the different news and media outlets.
Yeah.
And he had been using 6 to 7 cans a day from a source of his friend for quite a while.
That's scary.
And that's what makes this, in my opinion, even more frightening, is that he was using a huge quantity, and then one day it just lights out.
The final, straw. Wow.
So did you ever anticipate that could happen to you when you were using, or is that something you even thought about?
I literally just had a death wish. I was so lost, so despondent, so purposeless that if something took my life, fine. I didn't really give a shit.
Might as well be air duster.
Exactly.
You know, I was kind of in the same boat.
Yeah, it literally numbs it makes it feel like a wave of heat is pulsating throughout your body, like,
Yeah.
and that whistling sound also happens in your ears, like, and it makes
Wah,
you,
wah, wah, wah.
Yep, it's kind of psychedelic. You kind of see a weird, I don't know if it's like a pattern, kind of, but it's more like your vision is about to go out, like you're about to pass out.
Yeah, you're in like a different world almost.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I remember I was hitting it in my buddy's apartment and was having full-on conversations in my mind. After about 30 minutes to an hour of straight using, I could hear people laughing at me and making fun of me, and then I'd come to and realize, I'm still alone in the room. So it is a terrifying drug.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're lucky that we walked away unscathed from that. Rest in peace to JB. Not everybody does.
Yeah,
so I mean, one thing you guys got to be aware of is the dangers out there. You know, we're not going to proselytize about using or not using anything, but at least you can be aware of the risks and what can potentially happen. So
100%.
level up in this toxic world. Let's stay toxic.
Peace.
Signing off.